sure that all the ones I have the little markings on them that show you like 1, 2, 3, 4, like how you draw them. So before we go through the symbols and we start delving down that, I want you guys to know that you don't have to memorize all of these symbols. Okay. There's going to be a ton because there's several tonight. There will be several in the upcoming weeks because they're from 8 different types of Reiki. So that's a lot. Do not feel pressure that, oh my God, I have to learn every fucking one of these. You don't. There will be some, you'll get attuned to all of them. You can use all of them if you'd like. There's going to be a few that grab you in the gut, kind of like I was talking about with the cards. There's going to be a few that you're like, oh my God, that's mine. Like that's mine. You're going to feel that connection to. You will instantly remember those. Trust me. You will remember how to draw them right off the bat. They will never leave your brain. I have been attuned to so many, it's not even funny. And there are some I use every single stinking time, no matter what. There are some I rarely use. There are some I'm like, I am never going to use that. I am never going to use that. I'm not going to use it. I don't know what it is. You guys will be the same exact way. There's also no specific way, like this has to go first, then this, then this, then this, then this. What I'm going to tell you guys is this one is what I recommend going first. And this, because there's a couple that you kind of sandwich the others in between. I never tell anybody that you always have to do this or you always have to do that, because every person you work on, including yourself, there's going to be different days when you need different symbols. There's going to be different days when you have different things going on. What fits one person is not going to fit another. What fits you today is not going to fit you tomorrow. So I want you guys to take these symbols and use them how your gut tells you to use them. Always, always trust your gut, especially when you're working with energy, because when you get attuned to these, it's going to make you much more sensitive to other people's energies, meaning that when you're going to work on them, you're just kind of going to know, okay, you have a lot of emotional shit going on. So I'm going to use this. I'm not really worried about the distance. I'm not really worried about this. You're just kind of going to know what they need. Trust your gut. When you guys first start working on people, you're going to kind of realize that you feel a little crazy when you come up to somebody, you're fixing to work on them. You go to put your hand out to check them, to kind of scan them, etc. And in your head, you're going to know without knowing, oh my God, like this person has a severe back problem. I'm going to end up spending a lot of time right here. Like you just know, you don't know how you know. So you're going to know the same way which symbols you need to use. Trust your gut. You're going to feel crazy as all get out. Like you just will. You just will. That's the only way I can explain it. You just will. But after getting attuned to all these, and after we go through how to activate all your chakras in your hands and so on, the things that you feel from other people are going to go through the roof. So for those of you guys that are empathic, this is going to exacerbate that, letting you know. But the good thing is a lot of these symbols are very protective as well. You can use them in that aspect. The symbols I have on my palms, you guys, please feel free to use that as well. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with it at this point. Even though it's a soul retrieval symbol, it will help you to kind of keep your energy to yourself when it's needed. So if you have somebody in front of you that you're like, oh, you have so much shit going on, like your energy is craziness, you can use this to help shield you a little bit. That's also partially why I have it on my palms. I have it tattooed on my leg, but I also have it, I keep it here on my palms because it helps me disconnect, especially like on Thursdays when I have everybody and their dog in there. It helps me to slightly disconnect and to not take other people's stuff in. So it will help you. Feel free to modify it however you guys see fit. It does. It does. And the symbols that you guys are getting attuned to tonight, that's a great question, Chelsea. Thank you. The symbols you guys are getting attuned to tonight, you can actually use to charge and cleanse your own crystals or other anything, really, anything. But I would recommend starting with crystals, especially pendants, rings, things like that that you wear all the time. But yes, this will also, you can charge your moon water, you can charge whatever you want to with it. So let me make sure I'm on the right thing here. Trying to get it to where I can see everybody and this at the same time. Yes, you can totally use Reiki energy on your foods as well. I personally put it on my moon water because I always set out some to save. In fact, I had a friend over here earlier, and the thing behind me is actually a wine rack, but it's all moon water. It's all moon water. And so she was like, I just thought you liked wine. I was like, oh, fuck no. Like, look, I got this moon and that moon and blue moon. And yeah, she was laughing at me as I don't really care. I'm like, you don't have that. So nah. But let me share this here. Oh, hang on. Okay, so if you guys are enrolled in, like if you've paid for all of them, like if you've enrolled in all of them, you have to go through individually and book each class you want to be in because there are 3 different classes. So you just have to go in and say, like, you're going to book the class. And if you have problems with it though, let us know, because we've been having, I don't know what our hosting company did, but we've been having problems with that too. Like, you guys should not have to do that, but now you have to. I don't know. It's dumb. So I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense. How long until we can start you? Oh, so I'm going to try to hopefully get through the symbols and then the hand positions for you guys. So you can at least start on yourself tonight if you wanted to, like after I tune you. Does that make sense? Because I want you guys to start working on yourself as soon as you want to, because this will help you attune to the energy. It will help keep your energy in check. It will help keep your chakras cleared and aligned, especially for those of you guys that already work with other people, work in customer service, that go outside your house, things like that. So let me share the screen here. Nope, I don't need that. I need, there we go. Okay. So I was hoping, oh yay, I can zoom in. Y'all be proud of me. Okay. So these are the first 2. And for those of you guys that are familiar at all with Reiki, or if you've already been attuned, you'll recognize these. And I will send you this document in an email later. So, but please, if you guys can, feel free to draw them, even if you're practicing them in the air, whatever. The first one is the chokure. This is the power symbol. And this is what a lot of people think I have on my hands, but I don't. This is the one that I said, usually it's recommend you sandwich the others in between them. So it's like, this is the Oreo cookie part and all the rest of it is the cream filling. This one is super easy. It's the little tail at the top first, down, and then around and in, and it's 3 swirls in, and it's counterclockwise swirls. This is bringing in all of the energy and focusing it where it is, where you want it to be. So like this right here is one that when you're charging crystals, this is what you use. You want to bring in all the energy here. So if you're charging crystals, I would almost always recommend sandwiching whatever other symbols you want to use. This one is really great if somebody is sick, if you're trying to keep positive energy in a place, in yourself, whatever. If you get in a pinch and you're in front of somebody and you're like, oh, I don't know what symbols to use, just make sure you remember this one. This is the one that will boost your personal power. As far as where to draw these symbols, everybody differs. You're going to hear and have people say, well, I draw them in the air over the person. I draw them on the person. I personally draw them on the roof of my mouth with my tongue. in the morning, like whenever I am working on somebody, if I know I have Reiki appointments or whatever, I draw them on my hands in one of my sigil rollers. I'll draw them on my arms, things like that. But right before I go to work on somebody, even myself, I take my tongue on the roof of my mouth and draw them on the roof of my mouth. Now there's one that even though I've been attuned to it for like since 2012, I can't remember to save my life. I just can't. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So and it's 4 symbols together. I just take my tongue and I go like 1, and I kind of picture the symbol in my head, 2, 3, 4. I just make 4 dots on my roof of my mouth, basically. So don't feel like on some of the ones that are super complicated that because when you see it here in a minute, you're going to go, oh my God, it's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. But this one right here, I do highly recommend you memorize. It's probably the easiest one. There's several really easy ones. This one right here is one you will always want to at least draw on the roof of your mouth, on your hand, something. The other thing I liked about drawing it on the roof of my mouth is that I can do this when I'm standing in line at the grocery store or when I'm on a live and no one knows what I'm doing, but I'm adding that power in. Does that make sense? The next one is one that you will use a ton as well. This is the Seiheki, and I'm from Oklahoma. So yes, I have an accent and it does not sound anywhere close to somebody who is Japanese that can say this. But this one right here is where the energy and the person become one. So now you brought in the power. This is where you're having the energy that you've brought in and that person you're working on or you together. It's bringing those 2 things together. So normally when I'm working on somebody, unless I feel I need to do it differently, I do the Shokugei and then I do this one like 1, 2. This one's a little more complicated to draw, but you always draw the little thing inside. It's almost like a 3 and a 5 together to me. That's kind of in my mind how I see it, like almost like half a 3 and a 5. And then the other part is a swish and like 2 little half circles. Like I said, I will totally send these to you guys so you can practice on them, but I'm gonna leave them up for just a minute so you guys can finish drawing them if you want. And I can't see the chat right now, so I'll answer chat messages here in just a minute. I'm going quick, so I'm sorry. I'm just like, man, you got a lot of stuff to cover. Let me see here some of these. Yeah, the Seiheki does look like a dinosaur. Yeah. That's funny. Y'all are funny. All right. So don't worry about this one here. Don't worry about that one right now. This one right here is the one I was telling you about. There's 4 big things to it. Well, more than that, but 4. The only part I can ever remember is the smiley face at the bottom. I still can't draw this one from memory. I'm just letting you guys know. But this one right here is not one that you guys are going to use on every person. You won't use it very much at all. This right here is what allows you to send it distance wise. So right now, you're not going to be using it too much. This is like if you're practicing Reiki online to somebody across the US or across the world, then you would use this. If you're practicing Reiki and you want to send this, you know, you have a huge exam in 2 months and you want to send it to yourself then, because you know you're going to be stressed and forget, that's when you'd use this. If you want to send this anywhere that's not physically in front of you, that's what this symbol is for. There are so many specific ways that you have to draw this. That's what I said. I never remember it except the smiley face at the end. But like I said, I will send this whole document to you guys. So don't stress about trying to draw it too much. I'm watching Jessica draw, so I'm like, I'm just gonna oh, hold on for just a minute. Do you need me to, do you guys, would it help if I zoomed in at all? Try to zoom in a little bit. Is that better? This one I will attune you guys to later, like towards the end. It's more of a master symbol that you get attuned to in 2 or 3, but I go ahead and attune you guys to it anyway. So got it. So like I said, I will send this whole thing, but if you guys want to screenshot, I'll leave this up for just a second so you can screenshot all of it, because I will attune you guys to that 4th one, but it will be toward the end. That this one, even though it's a master symbol, it's for bringing in enlightenment. So I highly recommend using this on yourself. Once I attune you to it, I won't attune you to that 4th one on here tonight, but this one will also help if you have somebody in front of you that's having a hard time finding their path, doesn't know where they're going in life, etc. This helps them to get whatever epiphany, whatever they needed enlightenment wise. So there you go. Yeah. If you guys can totally zoom in, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do there. Got it? Let's see. All right. So I'm gonna pull these up real quick. I can make this bigger. So these are all kind of some different ones. I'm gonna have you guys take a screenshot of them, and I can zoom in if you need to, if you need me to. Sorry, I love my child. I really do. I love my child. Okay. So we're going to start with this one here. Well, that's what your certificates look like. How about that? Okay. Well, I can't get it to zoom in. Oh, there we go. Yay. So this one right here is one that I really, really connected to. This one will help you get in touch with your own Kundalini, with keeping all of your chakras wide open, keeping them operated in the right way. This one is one I use every Thursday night. It's super easy to draw. It's pretty much a Y. I always start my Y on the number 2, but you have to start it on the number 1 and go around, and then the 2, and then this weird little zigzaggy in the middle. This one helps you connect to that energy. It also helps you connect to the universe, to the divine. For those of you guys that do travel in your sleep, or you meditate to travel, you're worried you travel, anything like that, this will help protect you. It will help protect you when you're doing divination, when you're channeling. It also helps remove negative energy. So this one right here is one that I personally use on my cards. I use in my house. When I'm saging, when I'm lighting any kind of incense, I usually draw this in the air. Plus it makes cool little smoke trails when you do. But this one, it's just a great one to use for protection and for getting rid of negativity. It is one of my favorites. It doesn't belong to OMNI Reiki. It belongs to Holy Fire. But this one is also considered a master symbol. But it's one that's so useful. That's why I pulled it in with my practice, because once I got attuned to it and once I found it, like I said, it's one of the ones that pulled me in the gut. And because it helps you keep all your chakras in line, and it removes negative energy, and it brings in the universe, divine, enlightenment, etc. Like, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Let me try to zone out a little bit there. So the fire serpent is really, really fun to draw. It's probably one, I don't know why, but it's probably one of my favorite ones to draw. So swish across the top, squiggle down, and a little, I mean, it looks like a snake that's got his tail cut in a trap. That's kind of what I always think of when I'm drawing it. So the fire serpent is also from Holy Fire. This one in particular is to help you bring in, oh, let me move the little hand, to help you bring in the truth of a situation. It's to help you see the light, help you see the truth, help you discern what is really going on, what's happening, etc. So it also helps you to ground. That's why I love this one. It's very simple. It's very easy to remember. This is one that these two in particular, the Dumo and the Fire Serpent, I use on almost every person. Usually I will use this one, even though at the beginning, before I ever work on somebody, I've drawn the symbols. When I'm working on someone's root chakra, I usually will draw this one as well to help pull them back in and help them ground. I used to draw it on people's feet and they thought that was hilarious. Oh yes, you absolutely could. You absolutely could. In fact, I know a few practitioners that have different symbols on their arm. I have a couple of different hoodies and long sleeve t-shirts that I've personally, that are mine, that I've made with them on the arm. So yeah, they're, you can totally do any of that. Yeah, well, on these, I wouldn't really, the ones I was saying you could tweak if you wanted to use this one to help protect you from energy coming back, then this one's the one I said that you could totally tweak if you wanted to. Because this one is one that I adapted for me. And you guys, please feel free to adapt it for yourself as well. Did you guys get a screenshot of this one? The Zonar is is really fun to draw. It's a Z with 3 infinity symbols in it, and that's exactly how you draw it. Is a Z and then that. When I draw this one, this is one I use on, I'm going to say 90% of people. I always use it on myself. When I draw this one right here is to bring the body to optimal health. It's to bring your energy to optimal health. So usually when I draw it, I think of coming back into yourself as the Z, the end of whatever that bad shit was that was going on, because the Z is the end of the alphabet. And then when I'm drawing the infinity symbols, because when you draw them, you start at the big one and go in. It's like I'm grabbing in all the energy, all the good, all the healthy. I'm bringing it in and I'm bringing it in. Like that's kind of how I remember it in my mind, if that makes sense. But this one is to promote optimal health in yourself and the person you're working on. So I saw somebody mention that you hope some of these would help you with COVID and being sick. This is the one that will right here. So if you guys have herbal tea, if you have medications, if you have anything at all that you're using to help yourself feel better, this one right here. I keep pointing at it because it's like right there. This one's the one you would use for that. And like I said, I will totally send all this to you, but you guys are more than welcome to take a screenshot. There we go. Okay. So the Reiku, however you want to say it down there, this is a master level as well. But this one is one that you use for you when you're working on somebody. So whereas the Fire Serpent is used to help you ground, this one right here is used to help you, the practitioner, ground yourself and kind of protect you against when you're working on somebody, it's very easy to get attached to what's going on with them, and you can kind of feel yourself float off a little bit. So this is to help you stay grounded. That's why it's drawn straight down like a lightning bolt, straight down like a lightning. No, it doesn't have to be the same color. In fact, what I would say is to look up what color you're considering drawing it in. So like the Zonar specifically, if you wanted to draw it on something like, if you say you've been really sick with COVID, whatever, and you wanted to draw it on your pillowcases, I would use green, because green is a healing color. So I would totally use green. The Reiku is also one that Raku, however you want to say it. Roku was not the right way. Aside from grounding yourself, this is also a finishing symbol. So if you have a cord cutting you're doing, if you're helping somebody cut off from a negative situation, if you're trying to stop yourself from overthinking something, this right here is one that will help you do that. It is like, this is the end of the situation. So this is why I said I would usually sandwich those symbols. But if you know this person has something specific they're working through, they're trying to leave a toxic relationship, they've left it, they're trying to leave something like that, this is when you'd use this at the end. Or if you don't know this and they tell you this during the session, then you can use it. Okay, well, I would like, I'm going to do this now and cut this off. This is a great one to use if you're doing a cord cutting. If you can carve it into a candle. If you're doing a cord cutting, you can carve any of these into candles. So if you wanted to light a candle for health in your home, you could totally use the Zonar on there. You can use any of them, really. Yes, these are in the workbook too. But like I said, I am going to send all of these out so you guys will have them. But yes, it is in the workbook too. I'm probably going to go ahead and just attune you guys to all 7 of these this evening, those first 3, and then these 4, just because like these 2, I was like, well, I might do it next week, but I don't know, with everybody being sick right now and going through with COVID and back and forth, I feel like this one is going to be really helpful for you guys. And a lot of you guys that are on your spiritual path now. So I have a huge workbook that will go along with this. I'm having to figure out how to cut the bastard down so I can email it, because it's a little too big, apparently, even for Google Drive. And I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with that. Like, I should be able to just send it. So yeah, I figured this one right here was one that you guys could all use like ASAP right now. Does everybody have a good screenshot before I take this off? No, let me move that in case somebody's screenshotting. So I can't even upload it on the site. That's what sucks. I'm in the process of cutting it down. It's just my schedule is so stupid right now that I'm having to have Bree and April help me cut it down. So let me stop sharing this and open this back up. Yay, I can see this. Okay. All right. Anywhere. So the hand symbols that you guys are going to use, I want to go through this real quick too, because as soon as I attune you guys to this tonight, please, please, please feel free in the morning to get up and use these on yourself. One of my favorite things to do, I love hot baths. That's like my happy place, is like, all right, I'm putting myself in a timeout. I'm going to be in a hot bubble bath. Y'all fuck off. Like, I don't need y'all's energy fucking up my bubble bath. So I will sit in there and I will go through a full Reiki session on myself when I'm chilled and relaxed. I'll put some herbs in the bath, some oils in the bath, whatever. As far as the hand positions go, you don't have to hold your hands in a specific way, but there are specific areas of the body. And I will also send you guys, I pulled the diagram out to show you. And I will send all of this to you guys. If you guys watch me on Thursdays, you know I usually start at the root. Most people will start at the crown. It's completely up to you. Feel free to start wherever you guys feel called to. I personally start with the root because if you're not grounded, some of this is not, it's almost like it undoes it as soon as I reground you. So if I start up here and I'm getting all of these set how they're supposed to be, and you're not grounded anyway, then when I ground you, it's like they all shift over anyway. Like that's been my experience in doing this. So that's why I personally start there. If you are working on yourself, the root and the sacral have different positions, whether you're working on yourself or you're working on somebody else, and I'll explain why. With the root themselves, if you're working on you, your root is at the base of your tailbone, like the base of your spine. Well, everybody's is. So with me, if I'm laying in bed, like I'll literally just put my hands, down about where my tailbone would be and do that. But when I meditate, when I'm in the bath, I will hold my hands on the bottom of my feet and I do one foot and then the other. So I take one hand and I'll cup my foot and then I'll wrap around the top of my foot. So it's almost like you're encompassing your foot. And then I will do the other foot. And you just hold it for, traditionally it's 3 minutes per point. But if you got kids banging on the door, if you're like, just, you're about to fall asleep, you hold each position as long as you feel you need to. You guys may feel I'm pretty grounded, but I have COVID and I'm going to throw up every time I move. You may spend more time on your solar plexus. If you have a migraine, you may spend more time up here. So 3 minutes is the rule of thumb, but don't feel like you have to stick to that. Like, oh, well, it's been 3 minutes. I got to move my hands. No. I've had people I've worked on, like I was telling you guys the other day, I've had people I've worked on that I've spent almost a whole session just in one spot. I had somebody come in that has severe scoliosis and is having back surgery. I've spent a good 30 to 35 minutes in just on that spot on her body. And even then I was like, I literally could spend the rest of my day right here. So if you guys are having that day and you feel severely ungrounded and you're meditating or you're holding your feet or you're holding your root and you feel like you got to leave your hands there, there's a reason. Leave your hands there. Your next one. So when you're working on a person, let me back up for a second. If you're working on a person with the root, I always use the feet because you don't just want to be like, hey, gonna touch right here. Most people are going to come off the table. I'm just letting you know. Even if you have your hands over it, they kind of do this a little bit if they don't know you. Now I have people that have come to me for years and I'm just like, I'm putting my hand here, dude. Like it is what it is. Like this is where my hand's going. But I always use the feet for the root. Always. That's what touches the ground. That's what puts you on the ground is your feet. So I always use that for people I'm working on. The sacral is one that is really, especially for you women that still have a period and are going through that every month, you will love this one. And this is another reason why I want you to be attuned to the Zonar right off the bat, because the sacral is right about where your ovaries sit, right about where your uterus sits, where your reproductive organs sit. So in women, when you have a woman come to you that's having a Reiki session done, if it's like anywhere close to that time of the month, when you have your hands there, they're going to be like, oh my God, like, please don't ever move. Like, just stay right there. So with guys, you can't really put your hands there. I'm just saying, you just can't. So you use your discernment. What I normally do when I'm working on somebody is I use the point right above their knees or right below their knees. Like say, here's the kneecap and here's their thigh. I will put my hand right here, or I may put my hand here, just wherever I feel I need to. I will do this for women too. Sometimes I do there and I put my hand on their lower abdomen. It just depends what I feel. With you guys, absolutely put your hand where you feel you need to. This helps if you guys have kids, this position right here above your sacral, if they have tummy issues at all, it will help calm that down. Like if they have an upset stomach, if they have problems with digestion, it will help that calm down. Now, I will tell you, when you're working right there, things will shift inside. You will feel it. The person will feel it. And not every time, but a lot of times. And the first time this happened to me, it freaked me out because I was like, dude, like, are you pregnant? Like, I swear I swear, like, I know you're not pregnant, but are you pregnant? Like, that's how it was weird feeling that shift in there. As the energy shifts, as you put your energy and that healing energy into their body, your body will shift, that energy will move and you will physically feel it. And yeah, it's really, really weird, but it's really cool at the same time. And once you feel it the first time, you can't wait to feel it again. You can't wait to feel that what you're doing, the energy you're putting into somebody is physically shifting something in their body. But it makes you feel extremely powerful. So I can't wait for the first time you guys feel that, because it makes you just feel insanely powerful. From here, they get pretty easy. Those are the only two that are a little weird between if you're working on somebody or working on yourself. The solar plexus is the stomach, and usually it's right about belly button area. With this one, I usually put my hands like this on myself or on somebody. Every now and then I will feel the need to overlap my hands if it's really bad. So just trust your gut. But I usually do this and kind of encompass the belly button with it. So you're getting all around that chakra right there. Yeah, you can hover your hands. You don't have to actually touch somebody. I'm that person that I ask first, like, is it okay if I put my hands on you? I personally like feeling that a little more, and then I can gauge how much energy I'm sending in and out. I know people that have practiced for a long time that never touch anyone. So don't feel like you have to do one or the other. So when I'm saying, you know, put your hands here, don't put your hands here, then you guys do what's comfortable for you or comfortable for the person in front of you. With the solar plexus, this one right here, you will hear a lot of stomach growling. You will hear a lot of shifting. You'll also feel some movement. So I usually warn the person, if they've never had a Reiki session, you're probably going to be starving when you leave, because this is going to jumpstart your digestion. It's going to jumpstart your stomach. And now your energy is cleaned, attuned, evened out in here. You're probably going to be starving when you leave my office, which sometimes is a very good thing. This is great for nausea. It's great for upset stomach. So again, if you have kiddos or you yourself, this is great to use right there. This is another one where Zonar comes in great. With this one, this is where you guys will start to know what kind of person you have in front of you. This is why I like going from the ground up as well. When I get to this point right here, I can tell if somebody, and this is going to sound like the same thing, but it's not. I can tell if somebody is an over worrier, if they have severe anxiety, or if they're an overthinker. It is two separate things, because some people overthink everything, but they don't worry about shit because they've overthunk everything. Other people worry about everything without ever thinking about it. You'll know if you have somebody that's ruled more by emotions versus, which is the solar plexus, or more logical. You'll get to where you can pinpoint somebody like that. Once you get to this point, I can tell because when I get here, my hands get a little buzzy. It's kind of like when your hand goes to sleep and you're like shaking it to wake it up and it's like pinpricks everywhere. That's kind of how my hand will feel. With me, when I'm working on somebody, even myself, my hands get hot as shit. Everybody has a different reaction too. When they're working on somebody Reiki wise, your hands will get extremely hot. They will feel buzzy, or the only way to say it, it's almost like they shake internally. Your hands will feel different. They just will feel different. For the most part, 80-85% of people, your hands will get hot. And so if you're putting them on yourself, if you're putting them on somebody or whatever, they will notice. You will notice the difference. We'll talk about energy wells here in a minute if we have time. So from here, you move up to the heart. This is another one that's a little weird to get to, Like if you're working on a guy, it's pretty easy. If you're working on a girl, it's a little different because we all have different top accessories. Sometimes I do have some people that have come to me so many times, women, they just get on their back, on their stomach, because man, I can put my hand like almost directly on your heart when you're on your stomach. So it's up to you how you want to work on a woman if they're in front of you. Some people can't lay on their stomach. Some people have to lay on their side. So just ask the person, and when they're in front of you, what's more comfortable for them, like how they want to lay. But with women on the heart, I a lot of times will use the sternum, and I usually do hover my hands here, or I will put my hand up, like for somebody that's been in front of me a lot, I will put my hand up kind of almost underneath where your underwire on your bra is. But for the most part, I do like to hover here, and I usually go right above the sternum on a woman, because women hold way more emotion in there than men do. I mean, it just is. Like, I don't mean to sound horrible by saying it. It just is. We just do. So it tends to spread a lot. And so your heart chakra, a woman's heart chakra, usually sits in the middle. It's usually not where it's supposed to be. So you're going to have to align it. This one here is very interesting, because when you get here and you're working on somebody, this is one that can cause a lot of emotions in you. This is partially why I have these. It's also why I want to attune you guys to the Reiki, the lightning bolt as well, because if someone has a lot of trauma, if they have a lot of trust issues, if they have really any kind of hurt at all that they carry in their heart, your hands will freeze. You will feel it. It'll be like you're holding steel that's been outside in 20-degree weather. It's the weirdest thing to explain. The first time you feel it, you're going to have to fight like doing that, because it's so weird. You're working on all these other chakras and your hands are hot as shit. And then you get here and all of a sudden it's like you're holding ice. That right there tells me that I got a lot of work to do on that chakra. And I will tell the person, like, you're going to have to let me in a little bit. Like, you're going to have to open that up slightly. This causes a lot of emotional reaction in them, can cause a lot of emotional reaction in you, especially if you're empathic or you're very sensitive to people that have a lot of trauma. Because when you feel how much hurt that person carries here, like I almost want to tear up a little bit just talking about it. When you feel how much hurt that person is carrying right there, it really makes you sad for their soul, even though you have no idea what they've been through. Knowing that they carry that kind of hurt, that they have a steel cage right there, it just makes you sad. So I'm just warning you guys about that one. The throat chakra is one that it's interesting to try to figure out where your hands go here. For the most part, your hands will go right up kind of where your collarbones sit. There's that little indentation. On yourself, like, it's hard for me to do this, and I don't like things around my throat. I can't. But a lot of times I will put my hand here, like about where my pie stone sits. It's up to you how comfortable you are, wherever you want to put it. Like if I'm having a day where I can't shut my mouth, like sometimes I'll do this. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like if it's wide open, I'm like, yep, in you go, in you go. But you can't, when you're working on somebody, I will tell them to, like, hey, I'm about to work on your throat chakra. I'm just letting you know. Like, so I will put my hands here, or here's my favorite thing to do. And this is something that will set you apart from other Reiki practitioners as well. I have a little Dr. Rolly chair. It's blue, of course. And I get up by the person's head. And so I put my hands on their shoulders like this, like with my hands wrapping around like that. So where your collarbone and your shoulder bone comes down, there's a point, there's a triangle right there. You can't feel it on yourself. You have to have somebody else feel it. Or if you have a kid or somebody there, be like, hey, sit still, because they have to be relaxed. Because if your arms are up, it tenses those muscles. But where that point is, there's a pressure point in there that is one of the major stress points in the body. So the best way to hit this, you have to hit straight down. You can't hit it at an angle or you don't get it. And you want to use your thumbs and literally straight in. So if you put your hands on somebody like this, not only are you working on their throat, but and just kind of press down slightly on their shoulders towards their feet, it presses on that and they instantly will relax. And most of the time they'll go, oh my God, that feels so good, because you're hitting that stress point. So it allows them to release some of that stress, and you're hitting their throat chakra at the same time. So here's a good thing about that too. They're more concentrating on how good this feels that they forget that they were worried about their throat chakra. So they instantly forget of kind of what you were doing to go, oh my God, that feels so good. For those of you guys that have people that live with you or people that are around you all the time, if you have a panic disorder or you have somebody in your life that has a panic disorder, teach someone where to find this on yourself. It's really easy. It's really, really easy. It's literally the point where those bones come together, the V where those bones come together. And I'll try to draw, I think I have an acupressure diagram somewhere for that, but this is part of some Tibetan acupressure. I've been able to be out and about with like my son, some of his friends, etc. And he had a friend that had a panic attack while we were out. And so I just told her, I was like, just sit. I was like, just sit for a minute. And I just pressed down on that for about 3 minutes. I mean, she's like in tears, crying, freaking out. And I was able to pull her out of a panic attack with it, because that is just such a major stress point in the body. So you can use it to help kids. You can teach your significant other or your friend. You're like, hey, gonna need your thumbs. Like, I need your thumbs. But remember, the trick is push straight down. So if you're doing it to somebody, you want to be where you can push straight down towards their butt. So that one, again, like I said, if you put your hands like that on somebody and push down on their shoulders and let them know, I will always ask first. I do have them, and we'll talk about this later, but I go through all their ailments, you know, like you have shoulder injuries, because I obviously don't want to push on someone's shoulders, you know, if you have a shoulder injury. The other thing about this one here is you have to know if someone's pregnant in front of you, because this one can cause contractions, believe it or not. So you have to know if someone's pregnant before you hit that point. It won't make them go into labor, but it can make them have contractions and make them freak out. Now, if you have somebody that's ready to go into labor, they're like a week past due, be like, so, you know, if you just want to help them along, because I don't know if any of y'all have ever been induced or had that kind of medication, but no. The next one is the third eye. And with yourself, I usually do this and I put my hand over. It's up to you. You do it how you're comfortable. If you want to do left over right, however you're comfortable doing it. The other thing that I will do when I'm working on mine, I will hold this for a minute, and I will kind of get that back in line or so on. And then I will sit and do small circles outwards, do them outwards to kind of open that up. That one can make you dizzy. I'm just letting you know, hitting this and moving it like that can make you a little dizzy, especially if you've already been holding it and it's open. But if you guys have migraines, you can do that as well. If you have a client in front of you that has a migraine, just slightly massage right there. Just make sure you do it out. It's a great way to kind of release that. You can also do this on your eyebrows. There are pressure points all in your eyebrows that if you stroke your eyebrows or somebody else's from the inside out very slowly, you can put somebody to sleep like that. I do it to my kids all the time. I'm like, oh, honey, you know, but their stress points. Yes, I know. I need reminders, but I don't need like 2 in a row like that. But there's a point at the inside point of your eyebrows, one at the very top, and one kind of here at the corner of your eyes. So by doing this, you literally hit all of them in a nice stroke motion. So a lot of times if I have someone in front of me and I've been working on their solar plexus and I can tell, oh my God, you are such a worrier. When I get to this point, I will just kind of slightly do that about 3 times. And you can watch them in front of you kind of do that, like just melt a little bit. Because the third eye too can give them a headache if they've never had their third eye worked on. The crown is, of course, at the top of the head. With yourself, you can easily, however you feel comfortable doing it, whether it's like this, some people do like this. I do it both ways, truthfully, because if I have a really bad migraine, sometimes this feels better, because if I wrap my thumbs around the back, it hits pressure points here, it hits pressure points here, and it's just, it helps to put all that in there. There's a major pressure point in the top of the head. You guys can find your own by wiggling around. It's basically where your soft spot was as a baby. Even though it's closed up, you'll still feel it. That is a major pressure point. And if you guys have headaches or migraines, you can actually take that and press straight down, almost like you're trying to push your own button. It will help alleviate that headache a little bit. So the Soul Star is the one you guys probably have seen me work on Thursdays. It sits about a foot above your head is where it's supposed to sit. That's maybe not, that was a man foot, sorry. A foot above your head. It sits a foot above your head. When you guys start working on this, when you start working on yourself, I always cup my hands however I can. And I literally, just like I do on Thursdays, I will scoop and do this until I find it. I wish my chair won't go down any further, but mine sits right about where it's supposed to. Oh, check me out. Okay. All right. So mine sits right about where it's supposed to. Like I can actually feel it. It's weird. And as you guys get yours in tune, and I'm going to show you how to activate your hands here in just a second too. I usually will scoop like this and just kind of bring everything into it. And I will hold it just like I do on Thursdays. And when I'm ready, I will take a deep breath and I will pull it and connect it like that. When you're working on somebody, here's what's really cool. And I can't wait for you guys to do this. And for those of you guys that have other people in your house, I totally want you to practice on them, because if you have friends that are open to it, be like, hey, I want to feel your soul star. And they're going to go, excuse me. But everybody's feels different. Some people's will feel like a steel ball. Some people's will feel like a ball of energy, like that. You know, when you get your hand close to something electrical and you feel the buzz off of it, it'll feel like that. Some people's feel warm. Like it's insane. And they're all anywhere from like a baseball size to about like that. If you're looking for somebody's, here's what I recommend doing. Oh yeah, when somebody's asleep, yeah, that's the perfect time. Here's what I recommend doing. Start a couple feet out and just start moving your hand in towards their head. You'll feel it. You'll feel it push back a little bit when you get there. And it will freak you out the first time you do. You'll either feel it push back or suddenly you'll feel like this weird buzz in your hand. And it's the coolest thing. And you'll want to play with it on everybody. Trust me, because I love this. Is my favorite part of working on people. Sometimes, so here's the person's head, and I'm doing this and I'm trying to find it. It should be about here. It's not. Like I'm looking, sometimes you have to go out here. Their soul star may be over here. So if you have never worked on somebody before, if they have never had their soul star worked on before, it can be anywhere over here. Some people will have it right here. So if you do, you will find somebody eventually that has it like literally right here. They probably always got severe headaches. They never can connect to anything. They're always confused, things like that. With that, it's a little different. So if you're working on somebody out here, all you literally physically move it slowly. Otherwise you will make them really nauseated and dizzy and disoriented. So I'm not even this fast, like just super slow, move it back up to a foot where it's supposed to be. If it's way down here, you physically have to kind of slightly pull it up. That's funny. Even doing that, it like maybe kind of, but you have to be really careful, because if theirs is way down here and you're pulling it up, they're going to feel it, and it's going to make them feel like you're pulling their head like this, and they will get very lightheaded. So just let them know, hey, I'm going to be moving one of your chakras back into place. If you get dizzy or disoriented, please tell me. Because some people, you can't move it from right above their head to the foot out in one shot, because you just can't. So you just have to be careful with that one. But once you start feeling it on people, it's really cool. And once you start feeling it on yourself, I want you guys to all practice tonight or in the morning, feeling where yours is. to get a feel for how it feels, and then practice with other people. I don't practice on animals with it because I haven't noticed that they really have a big enough one to feel. But of course, I'm only practiced on like tiny dogs and things like that. So for the most part, you're more trying to calm their asses down. So yeah. If they're laying down and it's under where you can't get to it, you may have to wait. But here's what's funny. If they're laying down, say like in the morning when your kids are eating cereal or lunch, you know, and maybe you usually walk by and pat them on the head, tell them like, hey, I just want to check something, you know, or whatever. And then just do that. Like, you know what I mean? While they're eating their cereal or something like that. A lot of times they'll feel it. They'll go, what are you doing? So it's really funny. It's really funny. Or when you know where it is on your kid, I may or may not be a little ornery, especially with my 15-year-old who's ornery too, to be fair. But I will do that sometimes when they're sitting there eating, and I will slightly like ping it. I will like do that or push it, and my kid will go, Mom. Like, it's really funny. Like, they don't even know I'm behind them, but like you can really you can tease somebody with it. But at the same time, you do have to be careful because you can really make someone, it's really crazy how it will affect you. And you guys will see what I mean. Once you guys find yours and you're working on it and you're holding it and you're bringing it down like this, you'll feel it. Like you'll feel exactly where it connects on your head. Mine actually connects back here. It's weird. That's where I feel it. You guys will have a different spot where it connects. And once you know where yours is, and once you've got it connected, I want you to get a hold of it again and pull it up slightly. And I want you to feel how it feels in your head when it's being manipulated. That's how it feels to other people. You will make yourself dizzy. So use that however you want to use it, but use it for good, you know, like, but when you have your soul star back where it's supposed to be, when you get someone else's back where it's supposed to be, it's like your whole, everything is on fire. You're so full of power. You're ready to stomp on the world, that kind of power. So you will have people that leave your office or your wherever, like almost floating, like no lie. I've had people walk out of my office that like, here's the floor. It literally looks like they're doing this, like just floating right out the door. They're so happy. If you have someone that's having a problem connecting, like I can't connect to source, I can't connect to spirit, I can't connect to my family, like this is why. Chances are it's right here, or it's way the hell over here somewhere. I know I'm going through this all really quickly. I'm so sorry. But really the hand positions, there are some people that when they teach it, they're like, you have to hold your hands like this and you have to do this and you have to do that. And I tried that way. Personally, for me, it did not work. Even myself, I have certain hand positions and I'm like, okay, I always cup the feet. I always do this. There's always someone that when I start to do that, I'm like, that's wrong. Like there's people that I literally will reach around and I'll hold the tops of their feet. There are people that I just hold the bot. It's just trust your gut. Just trust your gut, guys. And here's the thing too. No one knows you're doing it wrong unless you tell them. So if you're practicing on somebody and you feel the need to change hand positions or move, because there's sometimes I'll be working on someone's solar plexus and I'm like, what the hell? Like, where is it? It's way the hell over here. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I literally have to manipulate it back up where it's supposed to go. Just because I don't put my hands like this right off the bat, they don't know. They don't know. And every Reiki practitioner is different anyway. So even if they went to 5 other ones, chances are they had 5 other different hand positions, different types, different energies. Everybody's different. So don't ever feel like you guys have to follow. You have to go from the root up. You can go from the crown down, whatever you feel comfortable doing, whatever your gut tells you to do for you or for that person. So as far as, we'll talk about trusting your gut here in just a minute. As far as activating the chakras in your hands, if you guys have watched me on Thursdays, I do it every time before I start my mudras. There are tons of chakras in your body. Most people only know about the 7. So the first one I start with is this main one in the middle of your palm. And I always take my thumb and press, like literally in the middle, press in, and I take my hand and I squeeze it. That activates it. In every single joint in your fingers, there's a chakra. I activate every single one of them. Like I do it every Thursday. I activate every single one, and then I clap my hands together. And once you do that, and I want you guys to practice this too, especially after I attune you. So in the morning when you get up, I expect all of you guys to be in your bathroom doing that and then clapping, but you'll feel it. Like you will feel a difference in your hands. With me, it usually makes them a little buzzy for a minute, and then they start getting really warm. Like even right now, they're starting to get warm. Your body will also start to recognize that when you do that, it's okay. Now it's time. I'm on. This is my on switch. I'm now on. And you can teach your kids to do this. You can teach your spouse, your friends, whatever. Teach them about this. And here's a really cool thing that you can teach your kids, and it will show them about how this chakra actually works. And some of you may have done this as kids, but if you take your finger in the middle of somebody's palm, I usually use this finger, and you do this and you make a circle, just a bunch of quick circles like this, you're activating that chakra. And then you can take it and do this, and you can literally feel it being pulled from your palm. And you can freak the hell out of somebody by doing that. Like, hey, I want to do this cool trick to you. But you just circle really fast, and then you can do this and pull it, and they'll feel it. And chances are their hand's going to do this when you're doing it too. It's really funny. So I don't know how many of you guys did that as kids, but yeah, see, I knew somebody had done it as a kid. But if you've never done it, do it to yourself. It's really cool. Do it to somebody else, and fun at parties, impress your friends, just like Beetlejuice says. So yeah, all of the things. Also, if you have somebody come in front of you, or you yourself, whatever, and I don't know if some of you guys have heard me talk about this or not, but there are a couple pressure points in the hands that are great for pain and great for nausea. So if you have somebody that's like, man, I can't really lay down flat, like I've been super nauseated, or you have COVID, or you have the flu or whatever, on your pinky, where your nail corners right here, the outside corner, that is a pressure point. So when you hit this pressure point, this is for nausea. So when you hit this pressure point, you want to take your fingernail, and I usually do it like this because it's easier for me to get to it, but press in just enough that you can feel it. Like you don't want to hurt yourself or somebody else, but that will actually stop nausea. It will help it. And this is both pinkies and actually your pinky toes too. As far as pain goes, where oh, the henna, I'm like, don't look at the henna coming off. Where your thumb and your first phalange meet right there, there's that triangle. That is a major point for pain. So if you take it and squeeze it like that, it will help with pain. So those of you guys have headaches or chronic pain, that will help. If you have the hand strength and you can press hard enough, you can actually debilitate someone's hand with that. I'm just saying. So be careful how hard you press. Or if you have somebody ever grab you, that's a great place right there. But if you just press slightly and try it on yourself first, so you know how hard you're pressing and how hard you're not. But that will help you. On your foot buzz, that's really funny. Yeah, as we go along, I will show you some other pressure points too that will help clients, but also you can use kind of in self-defense a little bit. I'm just saying. So I know that was like all the information right there, bam, in front of your face. What kind of questions do you guys have? I have like 5 minutes. Like I thought I was doing better on time than I was. Let's see if I can. Oh, wait. There we go. Let's try that. Oh, for constipation. So here's the thing about that. Working on the sacral chakra down there, that one will start up somebody's digestive system. You can also listen to your gut. Okay, got you, Chelsea. I thought you were making a joke. Okay, yes, I got you, Chelsea. But if you have, especially if you have a kid that's constipated, start in the middle and then just trust where you feel you need to move your hands. Like My youngest one, when she was really, really little, had really bad problems with that. And so I would just lay my hands on her stomach and I would just move them around wherever I felt I needed to. And usually within about 30 minutes, she was in the bathroom. But like I said, that's the one you will feel the energy shifting around. You will feel things moving. It's like really weird. It's really weird. Oh, energy wells. Yes. Yes, you will totally get a recording. Did you guys not get last week's? I'll make sure you get it. So trusting your gut. Here's a great way to start trusting your gut, guys. When you guys have anything during the day at all, whether it's, man, I just feel like something's wrong, or you have a dream and you're like, man, I feel like this is going to happen or whatever, email yourself, create a separate email address that you don't use it for anything but emailing yourself. So when you just have this really bad feeling like, man, I felt all day like something was wrong, something's going to happen, I don't know what it is, email yourself. Not only will that boost your intention, your intuition, but it will boost you trusting your gut. It will also tell your body like, oh, they're paying attention now. So now I can get more detailed with it. So say you email yourself like, for 2 days, I have felt like something horrible is fixing to happen. I don't know what it is. This is my documentation of it. And next week, your dad gets in a horrible car accident. Okay, I know I've got about a week when I feel this feeling. Now your brain, your body is going to go, okay, they paid attention and now they know. So now you're going to start getting a feeling, okay, something bad's fixing to happen. And I can't stop thinking about my mom. Like, I've got to call my mom. You're going to start, it's almost like taking it from out here, and it's a process, and pinpointing it. When you're working on somebody energy wise, like with Reiki and so on, I'll make sure you guys get it. When you're working with somebody energy wise, you're going to suddenly see things. I mean, physically, like in your mind, you're like, I don't know why all of a sudden I'm seeing like an old guy in overalls with a green hat. You're going to start seeing things, and everybody's going to see something different. You're going to just know things and not know how you know them. Like, man, did you have surgery on this knee? Like things like that. I got to the point, I used to never say anything because I was so afraid of being wrong. And now I gotten to the point where I really honed that. But what I started doing was going, I don't know what it is about your knee, but I feel like I need to leave my hands here for a lot longer. And usually they'll say, oh, I had surgery last year. Oh, I twisted it last week really bad or whatever. And then there's sometimes, like if I was seeing, say, some older guy in overalls with a green hat, I'd be like, man, I don't know what's going on, but it's really funny. Like I keep seeing this older guy in overalls with a green hat. Does that make any sense to you? And sometimes they'll be like, no. I've had people do that, go like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then at the end of the session go, that was totally my grandpa. I just didn't want to tell you. Or something. Like, don't hesitate saying things to people. And if they are like, no, I don't know, it could be one of their spirit guides. It could be somebody that they're not remembering. I've had people call me 2 weeks later and be like, I found a picture of my great uncle who I was really close to as a kid, and that's what he's wearing in this picture. And sometimes too, I will tell them as well, it may not be for you. It may be that you go home and talk to your aunt or your mom or somebody like that and be like, yeah, I had a Reiki session and they said they saw some guy wearing overalls and a green hat. And your mom might instantly start crying and be like, that was my dad. That, you know what I mean? Like, it may not be for that person to understand. It may be because they know that person's going to go home and tell so-and-so. It is kind of a Claire, working on your intuition or your seeing, I guess, a little bit is clairvoyance. The other one I can't remember. Let's see here. I know there was another question real quick, and then I gotta go. Energy wells. That's the other one I wanted to talk about. So when you guys start working on people, eventually you will come up on somebody that's an energy well. You'll know this right off the bat. Well, this is a good thing. You're going to know it right off the bat, because energy wells will almost instantly overheat you, period. The first time you come across one, and you may be I practiced for 2 years before I came across one. And she told me, and here's the thing, people will usually tell you that I usually overheat Reiki practitioners. I've always been afraid to go to a Reiki practitioner. They'll say something about their own energy, so pick up on those cues. But when you start working on them and say you've only gone, like one spot, and you haven't even made it 3 minutes, and you're sweating and you're ready to close, that's because that person's an energy well. So one of the things that you guys need to do in between each movement, and I'll go over this again next week because we're going to talk about working on people more next week, is you want to, especially when you get to their solar plexus, you want to leave one hand on, and you want to take the other hand, and you want to be doing this and shaking your hand, shaking all that stuff off. You have to give it away to disperse. Otherwise, it goes right in here, and you're going to feel like shit for the rest of the day, because you're basically going to be a dialysis machine that's keeping the junk, and you can't do that. I learned the hard way. Do not do what Mandy does. Do not do what I did, because you will get super, super ill. You will get super ill. So let me pause this.